Good morning as folks are joining. I'm live at the State House where we are doing a briefing at 10 a.m. and Chairman Gordon just walked by. So that was exciting. But Neri is going to be your hostess with the mostest this morning.
Okay, so good morning. We are recording this call, and my name is Diagnelis Garcia, Neri for short. I'm the Director of Communications for Strategies for Children, and I'm filling in for Amy O'Leary, our SFC Executive Director and host of the 9:30 call. Most of the team is over at the State House, like Amy just mentioned. There is an in-person event today that we are co-hosting or co-sponsoring with Massachusetts Taxpayers Foundation called Early Education 101, a special briefing for Massachusetts legislators. But today we are very excited to welcome Diana Figueroa, Vice President of Community Investment and Mass Development. Um, and she will provide us with an overview of the Family Child Care Facility grants. And she's also joined by her colleague, Eleni Varitimos. And we want the first question we ask all 9:30 callers is for both the questions for both of you. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your current role.
Sounds good. So I'll start. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm really happy to be here. Like Neri mentioned, my name's Diana Figueroa, and I'm the program lead for the Family Child Care Capital Grant Program. And what brought me to this work is really, um, just my love for supporting small businesses. Oftentimes, educators aren't seen as, entrepreneurs, but I really believe that, providers have the ability to scale their business. And you guys do run the show on your own, and so you definitely should be treated as small businesses when it comes to like opportunities like for access to capital. And so yeah, that's what caused me to this work.
What did you do before your role at Mass Development?
Prior to coming to Mass Development, so I'm from Rhode Island actually. I was the director of community economic development at a small business development nonprofit called Social Enterprise Greenhouse, leading you know, um, just our economic development strategy in underserved communities by providing workshops, access to capital, and one-on-one advising. So I've been working with small businesses for about 8 years now. So it's I've learned a lot.
That's
Continue to
amazing,
learn.
Diana. I live in Providence. I am from Rhode Island. I'm familiar with a nonprofit. We just have
Yep.
our paths haven't crossed until today.
Yeah.
Um,
There you go.
Eleni, and I know I butchered your last name, so please go ahead. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your current role.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Neri said, my name is Eleni Varitimos. I'm currently serving as the Director of Division Operations for our Community Development Department. And I'm also the Senior Vice President for Community Investment. I have been at Mass Development for about 11 years. I'm based up in the Northeast. I'm based in Lawrence, which is where my family is from and where all good things have started for my family and the American dream. Um, Before joining Mass Development, I spent almost an equal amount of time up at the State House as the Chief of Staff to a member of the Senate there, focusing primarily on fiscal policy and transportation. And before that, I worked for a number of venture capital startup firms. I worked more in the finance sector. Um, some of you may have heard of an organization called Mass Inc. And I was one of the founding employees there. So I was employee number 4 at Mass Inc. back when it started in 1997. My interest in policy relating to Massachusetts in entrepreneurship has been going on for a long time. And so for me, the opportunity to sit on the other side of the table with organizations and nonprofits and municipalities that I had worked with for so long was really exciting, and to bring my finance background into it. So mass development's been a really great opportunity to look very broadly at community investment, economic development, finance, all those things. And we are so excited to be working in the childcare space for the first time, which we'll talk a little bit about. And Diana will dig into a little bit more. But again, thanks for having me.
Eleni, this is why I love this question because we are housed at Mass Inc.
There
We
you
moved in
go.
with them almost 2 years ago. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. It's when I think about where it began, there were five of us in a very small office. Struggling to make payroll. I think about that. We hand mailed every single report.
Right?
I'd stand at the post office in Chinatown with a massive box sending out reports of those first works that Mass Development, excuse me, Mass Inc. put out. We even had we were there when we were deciding, like, should it be called Mass Inc? Does it sound like Mass Sink? Will someone think it's a plumbers union? And so lots of great stuff. And then the evolution of the organization since that time has just been incredible.
And then I'll be quiet, Neri. But Diana is our first double header to do the 9:30 call in the morning today and the 9:30 call in Espanol on Wednesday night. So congratulations, Diana. It only took us 5.5 years for that to happen.
All right, so now we can get into the slides and the presentation. And, as a friendly reminder to everybody, as things come up, just post your questions and comments in the chat.
All right. Confirming that you guys could see my slides.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. So, yeah, Lenny and I are very excited to walk you through today's info session. We're also going to have some time at the end of this presentation for a brief Q&A. We want to make sure we get to any questions or concerns about the, like program as it's launching October 1st. So we want to make sure that this info session further prepares you to submit an application if you're interested. So, I'll leave it to Eleni to talk a bit about what we do at Mass Development before I start getting into the program.
Great, thanks, Diana. I'm just going to do a quick overview of mass development for those of you who aren't familiar with the agency. So Mass Development is the state's quasi-public finance and development agency, which means for quasi-public, for those of you who don't know, means we are primarily self-financed. We do get some direct allocations for some of the programs I'm going to talk about, but for the most part, we are self-financed. The Secretary of Economic Development chairs our board. Last year, we had a very successful year. Again, we financed in FY24 about 350 projects that were valued at $3.5 billion. And all of that goes into the Massachusetts economy in a variety of different ways that we'll see. We support job creation, we support housing creation, we support entrepreneurship. There's so many things that we do at Mass Development. When I first started, it felt like drinking from the fire hose. And even a year into my first year here, I was still learning about many things that Mass Development does. So we have a really wide breadth of things that we do in terms of real estate, finance, and community investment. Who do we help support? So if Diana's going to switch, there we go. So lots of people ask, like, who do you work with? We work with almost everyone. We work with small businesses, large businesses, developers, manufacturers, municipalities, nonprofits. We work with banks. So our role is always at Mass Development not to take not to directly take the role of a bank, but to be a partner in helping a bank make a better deal for our mutual customer. So we do that in a bunch of different ways. But we are very excited that one of the things that I'll talk about in a second is that we are now really able to support micro and smaller businesses than we have traditionally, because we recently merged with the Mass Growth Capital Corporation. Some of you may have worked with Mass Growth Capital in the past, particularly with their Biz Empower grant program. So they merged into us successfully and closed in February, March. Yeah. And so we now have the ability to really provide organizations in the community with kind of more of a soup to nuts approach. For a long time, we couldn't do a lot of support that was below a certain amount, and now we are able to do that. And it's a bit of a one-stop shop, which is pretty fantastic for all of us. Um, our particular division that I'm going to talk about, as I mentioned, mass development can be a bit of drinking like from the fire hose. So I'm just going to focus directly on our community investment department, which sits within community development itself. We are the folks that really focus on our grant programs. One of the things that's really interesting about mass development, we are really one of the only state agencies that has regional offices. So we have offices in 5 locations around the state, up in Lawrence, Fall River, Springfield, Worcester, Devens, and Boston. And because of that, we're able to spend a lot of time in our communities and in our regions getting to understand and know what's happening. And I think that makes us really able to connect with our with everyone and hear what's happening. Here's what the needs are. Before you on the slide, you can see here are some of the grant programs that we manage in the community investment department. As I mentioned, these are all grants. We do have a finance department that handles all of our debt products, things like, traditional loans, mortgage insurance guarantees, tax exempt bonds, all kinds of things. And so I'll just go, we have our Biz Empower program, which came over from Mass Growth Capital. That's our small and micro business grant program. Something that we're thinking about, trying to ensure that family childcare providers are aware of this program, and how we can do our best to make sure they're aware of it. I'm just going to call out a couple of them. There's a bunch of them. One of them I just realized I left off, which is embarrassing for me, which is our underutilized properties program, which goes through the community One Stop for Growth. But we are really expanding our programs. One of the things we've always been interested in is trying to get into the childcare space more effectively. We have done some work with larger care providers through that underutilized properties program. So someone might be buying a building in order to expand their childcare services, and we have provided access to capital for that. But we didn't see a way for us to support really small entrepreneurs. And so when this opportunity came up, I think some of you may or may not know, this came up through a very casual conversation between the commissioner and our former CEO about this program that the folks at EEC were trying to launch. There had been some challenges about finding someone who could maybe create the program. We had a long, I call it dating process to talk about would this work, would this not work? And then here we are, 18 months later, which seems like a really long time, but it's kind of short in the development phase of standing up a brand new program, getting it launched, getting it closed. And we're so excited to have been part of the Family Childcare Capital Grant Program. You can see the picture down below, which is from the event we did last week with the Lieutenant Governor and the Commissioner, the Undersecretary, and our CEO, which was really great. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Diana to talk about the great new FCCG program and round 2.
All right. Thank you, Eleni. Just for a little bit of context, since Eleni also mentioned that this program came to us almost about 18 months ago, I think, in my eighth month at Mass Development. So definitely I have learned a lot in my time here about the great thing, potential that this program has. So, oops. Sorry. I don't have a transition on, so I don't know why that keeps happening. But all right, let's get into the Family Child Care Capital Grant Program. So a little bit of an overview. This program provides grants to licensed family child care programs in Massachusetts. And through this program, FCC providers can apply for up to $25,000 to support space improvements and build program capacity. This is through a two-tier approach. So the first tier is capital improvements. Durable equipment. And then the second tier is capital improvements to the childcare space. There are a couple of important eligibility requirements to consider if you are interested in applying. First, providers must be licensed and operating for at least 4 years. They also must operate a minimum of 4 days per week and operate their childcare in a home that they and or their spouse own. And one of the most important aspects of this program is its commitment to accessibility. We ensure that all program materials and support were made available in multiple languages to serve a diverse group of applicants. And so these languages now include English, Spanish, Portuguese, Simplified Chinese, and Haitian Creole to really reflect the demographics of the providers in the state. So FCC capital grants support projects that achieve three main goals. First, they can help providers reach their full license capacity by increasing enrollment. Second, they can expand capacity, whether by serving more children or offering more hours of care, otherwise known as non-traditional hours for working class families. And third, they can also improve the quality of care and education by enhancing the program's physical space. So in short, these grants are here to help providers grow, expand access, and raise the quality of care for children and families. So here's a quick snapshot of the first round awards that we granted this summer. As you can see, we received over 1,600 applications and about 157 projects were awarded with an acceptance rate of around 9%. So we say this to put into context, we say this to put into context of how competitive of a program this is. And a competitive grant that means that unlike C3 through EEC, funding is not guaranteed. Now I'm here to show you how it is that you can submit a competitive application for this upcoming round that launches October 1st. Whether this is your first time hearing about this program or you are already eagerly looking to apply, we are here to provide guidance and share what to expect for the second and final round of funding that is launching in just a few weeks. And so here I have a few key qualities that come into implementing a successful application. Firstly, your project outline should clearly explain the project purpose, why your request is needed, and how it will improve childcare quality or increase capacity, like we mentioned the program goals prior to this slide. Successful applications also include a well-defined scope of work with itemized costs and a valid contractor. This is a very important eligibility requirement to note because in order to, meet the compliance for this program, we have to ensure that your contractor is in good standing. So it's very important to find a contractor that you can trust and know meets all of the state requirements. And also clear project necessity. So like I mentioned before, the program goals, health and safety improvements are a priority for this program. And these should align with the program goals of increasing enrollment, expanding license capacity, and enhancing the quality of care that you offer. To further strengthen your application, please be sure to submit all of the requested documentation, such as proof of home ownership and detailed scopes of work. Budgets should also include accurate cost estimates and clear project descriptions while staying within the program's grant cap of 25,000. And finally, it's important to have someone proofread your application because what makes sense to you may not be clear to reviewers. And please remember that this may be the final round of funding available unless additional resources are approved by the legislature. All right, so this is very important because we saw that in the first round awards, a lot of folks requested items that weren't eligible under this program. So FCC capital grants can be used for projects that are fixed and integrated. What this means is that they're fixed and integrated into the physical environment, such as, you know, like a fridge is something that's fixed and integrated, something you can't easily move or is portable. And like I mentioned, one of the most common pitfalls that we came across in the first round of applications was that we saw many strong applications that requested expenses that are not eligible under this program. So another important thing to note is that awarded funds cannot be used for administrative costs such as payroll, mortgage payments, utility costs, or any other operating or working capital costs. We will not fund projects that request items like toys, laptops, childcare materials, diapers, things like that, or portable tables, as they don't meet this eligibility criteria of being fixed and integrated. All right, so I am going to give an example of what we look for in a successful application. This home-based childcare was founded in 2010 to support local working parents. So they're providing, a very clear description of why, their program is important and how much it's grown since opening. So as you can see, they started with two children, but over time have grown to offer care to six children. While this FCC's goal is to increase their capacity to serve eight children and extend their hours of care in the evening, um, they're requesting to purchase larger kitchen appliances so that they could prepare more meals for the children they care for during non-traditional hours. And so they were able to meet this application clearly demonstrates how the purchases will improve their care quality and support business growth and also these upgrades would enable them to prepare more meals, especially for, the children who are attending during non-traditional hours of care. So this program is a very valuable opportunity to strengthen your program and benefit the families that you serve. It's important to carefully review the grant guidelines, which will be available on the EEC lead portal October 1st. And we say this because we want to make sure that you understand all of the requirements that come along with a state grant to begin with. And so the guidelines will be linked in the portal link that is sent to you via email through EEC. And I'm going to provide a quick recap of what the second round application looks like, so that you know what to expect and what to prepare for. Like I mentioned before, this was the second and final pilot round of the FCC Capital Grant, and I want to further emphasize that this is a competitive program and that funding is limited and not every applicant will receive an award. And so one of the things I wanted to note is that through the portal, the application system automatically saves your responses as you go. So you can return to the application and complete it at any time before the deadline on October 31st. So in short, please be sure to review the guidelines, be mindful of the deadline, and keep in mind that this is a competitive process.
Diana, I just want to let you know, time check. It's 9:58. We can stay on for as long as you need, but some folks might have to leave at 10. The
Mhm.
recording and the slides will be posted later today on the SFC website.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna skip through, the requirements. I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory, so I'll skip through these slides. Um, but yeah, like I mentioned, I'm very excited to share that round two of the FCC Capital Grant is officially launching on October 1st, and more details will be available on the Mass Development website, and a direct link will be emailed to all eligible FCC providers. And for this round, approximately 4 million in funding will be available. And the goal remains the same to support capital investments that help improve the quality of care, enhance your physical space, and program capacity. So whether you're reapplying or applying for the first time, this is a great opportunity to invest in the future of your program. And a few things as you start preparing for your application. There are a few key steps that will make the process smoother and set you up for success, and that is identifying a reliable contractor who can meet the specific needs of your project. Um, Second, creating a project timeline that works with your childcare schedule. So the goal is to plan improvements in a way that minimizes disruptions for children and families in your program. And finally, keeping in mind that the application deadline is October 31st at 11:59 p.m. So give yourself enough time to gather documents, finalize your budget, and review everything before submitting. So by taking these steps now, you'll ensure your application is strong, realistic, and ready for our review. And yeah, I'll leave it up to for I know we have actually we're right at 10. But I'm happy to remain online and share any questions that have come up in the chat. I know I've been seeing a few come in.
Yep, we can stay on. Strategies can stay on for a few more minutes if anybody else needs has a time. But again, the recording and the slides will be posted later today on our SFC website page dedicated to the 9:30 call. There are some questions in the chat. Eleni has already answered some. If folks want to come off mute and ask directly, or we can pick some questions from the chat. So, for example, Linda asked, do you have an estimate of when the grant recipients will be announced? Project estimates can change in a few months, and the program may no longer be able to afford it.
Yeah, so this information is going to be in the program guidelines, but the announcements are set for spring of 2026.
Okay.
Hi,
All
And
of the
Linda.
logistics will
I
be on
just
the
want to
guidelines.
Yeah, I just want
Yep.
to let Linda know, we are aware of the issue that you raised. We do know that this took much longer than we had anticipated, frankly, due to the incredible response that we received. I'm not sure we have ever offered a grant program that has ever received more than 500 applications. And that was our taxi and livery program that we offered post-pandemic through money that was provided from the Commonwealth. So to have received 1,600 applications was really different for us, and frankly, just uh, required a different level of intensity of resources to be able to move this as quickly as possible during this pilot round. I always say the pilot round is for learning and iterating. We have put a couple things in place that we hope will compress that review phase so that we can get answers and responses to folks as quickly as possible. We are very aware of the inflationary environment of construction. We have that for, the majority of work that we do, both on the debt side and the grant side, is in construction, and we do see that, and we do know that's a problem. So just wanted to weigh in on that. Thanks for raising the issue.
I see a question too from Melinda on is there a help available for people filling out applications? So I do have a few videos that are posted on the EEC YouTube channel, which are they're titled Strengthening Your FCC Application. I want to see if I could find the direct links while I'm talking. But yeah, we wanted to make sure to provide, we're very aware that, for a lot of folks, this is the first grant that you may be applying to, and that process can be intimidating. And so we really wanted to just give like some best practices. Like I mentioned, the potential applicant profile, that's really to give you a sense of like what we're looking for in a program description. Um, One of the things I want to mention is that, this is a pretty accessible and streamlined application. We really just want to know what you do, um, the importance of the work that you do, and how, this funding will help leverage you to get to meet your program goals. Um, yeah, I'm still looking for the link, sorry.
Maybe
Where,
you can include the link in the slides.
yep,
Yeah,
I can do that.
I'll what we'll do is we'll download all of these questions and comments. We'll share it
Mhm.
with Diana and Eleni, and then based on that, you can add some more information to the slides that you've already gotten started, and we'll post that to the 9:30 call webpage.
I just want to
Um,
note one more thing.
yep,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Neri. On our website, we're also going to have, like I mentioned, that all our program materials are available in multiple languages. We're going to have a Q&A that we've, compiled since the first round, on our website as well. So you can take a look at that. Maybe, your questions match what we've already gone through.
Okay, awesome. So it's 10:05, so we're going to close up. We've lost about half of the folks that were on the Zoom in the first place. So, but
Oh,
again, all of this information will be available on the 9:30 call webpage, and maybe we can work with Diana and Eleni to either blog about this or do some sort of communication. So all of these different resources are in one place, and so people can feel that much prepared for submitting their application on October 1st. Tomorrow, I will say we will have the commissioner on, Commissioner Amy Kershaw. She's going to provide us with an overview of last week's EEC board meeting, and we will have translation with from Excel Linguistics from English to Spanish and Portuguese. So thanks, everybody.
Hi, thanks for having us.